What is your favorite healthy food? Is there a food that you think is healthy, but maybe you're not sure? Now, of course, there's still plenty of controversy about the foods I'm about to discuss, but I've done my best to really simplify it down. Just remember that every person's body is different, and there is no one perfect optimal diet that's going to be perfect for every person. So hopefully you can use this information to figure out the perfect diet for you. Fruits are loaded with vitamins, phytonutrients, and antioxidants, and they're delicious too. Since you're going to be avoiding refined sugar, fruits are going to be the best way to satisfy your sweet tooth. So let fruits be your dessert. Now, of course, fruits do contain sugar, but they also contain fiber and a whole lot of different nutrients too. And it's important to note that the fiber contained in the piece of fruit actually helps that fruit to not spike your blood sugar so much. So when you're eating a piece of fruit, it's not going to spike your blood sugar as quickly as having a soda or having a spoonful of sugar, because you've got that fiber in the fruit helping in that process. Now, of course, if you're trying to lose weight, then you probably want to go easy on the fruit. And certainly if you're eating a lot of fruit, you're going to want to be really physically active so you can burn all of those carbohydrates off. But again, fruits are a great way to enjoy and indulge your sweet tooth, and I encourage you to try all of the different fruits that are out there. Vegetables really should be the bulk of your diet. And whether you eat meat or not, every single person on the planet, myself included, would benefit from eating more vegetables. The bottom line is that our bodies, our internal organs, need a certain amount of nutrients just in order to function properly. And vegetables are one of the best ways to make sure that you're getting those nutrients. They're loaded with fiber, they're loaded with vitamins, and again, if you are not eating enough vegetables, you're never really going to feel satisfied and full. And this is because your body just isn't getting the nutrition that it needs. So if you have been eating a diet of processed foods and you're somebody who feels like you're always hungry and feels like you're never satisfied, then the lack of vegetables, nutrients, and fiber in your diet is probably the reason for that. And when we're eating nutrient-rich foods like vegetables, we don't have to worry so much about counting calories, because suddenly you're going to get so much nutrition and fiber with these foods that you're going to fill up and feel full and satisfied before you'll be able to eat too many calories of those foods. Now, whole grains, on the other hand, can still be part of a healthy diet, but the trick is to look for minimally processed grains. So brown rice is a good example, millet, barley, wild rice. There are several different whole grains out there. And when you consume these minimally processed grains, they can be a really good source of fiber, minerals, nutrients, B vitamins, lots of things that we need not only to help us feel full, but to provide good balanced nutrition. So the easiest way to find these minimally processed whole grains is probably by going to the bulk section of your grocery store or even to a health food store. For the most part, these foods are ridiculously easy to prepare, just basically water and the grain. And if you have problems digesting these grains, you can soak them or sprout them to make them even easier to digest. Another key is to not make grains the bulk of your meal or the bulk of your diet. You can kind of use them supplementally, use them as, one of the sides, one of the smaller parts of your meal. You want to have these grains in moderation, and if you do have them, be sure to opt for those minimally processed grains. Dairy products are another controversial foodstuff. Some people will say, we're the only species on Earth who eats another animal's milk, and yet it's important to notice that people have been drinking cow's milk and goat's milk for hundreds of years. So again, I'm not going to tell you whether or not you should eat dairy. This is a choice that you're going to have to make your own. But what I will mention is that dairy is a very common food allergen. And I personally have known people who have cleared up acne, asthma, arthritis, just from taking dairy out of their diet. If you are going to eat dairy, then again, I have just a couple of guidelines. First off, look for the words pasture-raised or grass-fed. You want the cows who are making your dairy products to be very healthy. You want them to live on a farm and eat their natural diet so that they're actually providing the most nutrition to you in those dairy products. You also want to opt for the full fat version of whatever dairy products you're eating. So skim milk got on that fat-free craze that everybody was experiencing and trying to get all the fat out of their diet. Well, actually, the fat is what helps your body digest the dairy. So if you're eating fat-free dairy products, this could be why you're having a hard time digesting dairy. So my tips, if you are going to eat dairy, are to look for the words grass-fed and to always opt for the full fat version. To meat or not to meat? That is probably one of the most controversial questions out there in terms of health, in terms of diet. And we have to recognize that at this point, research has indicated that eating huge amounts of red meat and eating processed meats like hot dogs, sausages, processed deli meats, any meat product with an ingredient list has definitely been linked to clogged arteries and heart disease. And of course, there are some people who will tell you not to eat meat at all, and still others who will tell you to avoid all of the animal products, including eggs and butter. Now, I'm not going to tell you whether you should eat meat or not eat meat. You have to make that decision for yourself. And I recommend that you make that decision based on how you feel when you eat meat. Now, if you are going to eat meat, then I encourage you to do so in moderation and to be selective. So I have heard the rule of thumb that you shouldn't eat more than a palm-sized portion of meat at any given meal. So eating a huge steak that's, twice the size of your head is probably too much meat to consume at one meal. And you also want to look for the words grass-fed or pasture-raised and preferably organic. This is going to help you avoid factory farmed meat. And again, this is a topic that I've discussed on this channel before. So factory farmed animals, many of them never see the light of day. They're pumped full of antibiotics and hormones and often fed an unnatural, sometimes genetically modified diet of grains, which makes them really, really sick. So we want to avoid conventional meat, which most of which is factory farmed. And you can do so, again, by looking for the words grass-fed or pasture-raised on the packaging of any meat products or dairy animal products that you purchase. And the same thing goes for fish. You would want to look for the words wild caught. One other quick note about meat products. Meats that have been cooked at extremely high temperatures, such as frying or barbecuing, have a whole other host of other health concerns. Acrylamide is a cancer-causing chemical that is produced whenever foods are cooked at extremely high temperatures. So avoiding barbecued or charred foods, fried foods, of course, is going to be a really good option. And you can use the cooking technique low and slow. So using a low heat and cooking that meat more slowly at that low heat is going to help preserve the protein and preserve the nutrients that you're getting out of that meat you're cooking.